Hey everybody, Dr. Wenzel, Brentwood MD. Welcome to video 3, the last video in this 3-part series called The Art of Fulfillment, Why Success is Never Enough. We've been unpacking this idea of why you can be successful but not fulfilled, and how it's rooted in large part to the fact that most people begin their journey of success by getting freedom from something. And although 95% of successful people can figure that part out, which is why they can be successful but not fulfilled, this elusive last 5% is where all the magic is for fulfillment. And that is, once you're free from something, what do you pursue freedom to become? Then we talked about how do we identify the things that we need to actually focus on as an essentialist would. What are the things that are the most important? Where do we focus all of our energy and resources on the 5 or 6 things that matter the most so that we can move the needle in this last video. And this is a sneaky but fundamental strategy that you need to be able to actually measure your success in a way that doesn't sabotage your own behavior. And this is a concept that I'm borrowing from, again, my mentor Dan Sullivan, called the gap and the gain. We all have our current self, and we had a starting point of whatever we're trying to achieve, and then we have this ideal self, this ideal image of what we are trying to achieve or become. And the punchline to the story is quite simply, this is not real. The ideal self is not real. We make it up. It's like the horizon. We use the horizon to drive, but you never really arrive to the horizon. You arrive to where you think the horizon was, but then you realize you're no closer to the horizon than you were when you began. And it really isn't about ever becoming the ideal self. The journey of humanity is, who do you become along the journey while aspiring to the ideal self? And the concept of the gap and the gain is that as we're moving the needle and trying to improve an essential element, we have a clear starting point and we want to improve it. What we're trying to isolate is, how do we effectively measure the success in a way that fuels momentum and encourages us to keep going and fighting the fight. And when you measure your current self from where you started, you will notice progress. And this progress is called the gain. And this is a very positive thing. This is where we need to be. We need to stay in the gain. How much have we gained? Where we get sideways is we get fixated on the ideal self, and we begin to believe that the ideal self is actually the goal, that actually becoming the ideal self is the goal. And what we notice is, no matter how much progress we make, we see this huge gap between us and the horizon. The horizon keeps moving. And as Dan says, he doesn't know anybody who's used the horizon to get where they're going, but then ultimately was upset because they never arrived at the horizon. You will never arrive at the ideal self. That's not the goal. The goal is who you're becoming along the way. And this is really, really critical, because you can identify somebody who's stuck in the gap very, very quickly. They've lost perspective because they're measuring the wrong element of the journey. They need to look backwards. All progress on essential things needs to be measured backwards so that you can notice progress. Otherwise, you'll get stuck in the gap between the ideal self and your current self. And this leads to 2 final, I think, critical points of this whole series. And that is, all fulfillment is rooted in noticing progress in the essential elements of your life. Always measure the gain. That is so critical. I know you have 50 pounds to lose. That's the ideal self. And you're 12 pounds along the way the first year. You're 12 pounds further along, and you've become a more powerful person in that journey. It isn't even about the 50 pounds. Thing number 2 is, all dissatisfaction in progress is due to measuring yourself to the ideal. It's a flaw in your measurement, not in your actual execution of the strategy or reaching the goals. You got to get out of the gap, and the way you get out of the gap is you go to the gain. You immediately, when you notice you're in the gap, you're dissatisfied. I've been working so hard, and yeah, I've been making some progress, but I have so far to go. Your optics are off. Turn your gaze to the gain. It will free you. It will undo the chains that are keeping you bound to obsessively with a perfectionist, idealistic view of what you can and should be achieving. It will free you to pursue the thing that we all as humans want, which is fulfillment. I really hope this whole series has been useful to you. I hope it gets you thinking and gets you auditing areas of your life where you feel just a general sense of dissatisfaction. I just hope that you are able to take some of these things, put them into play, leave comments, let me know how things are working for you. And until we meet again, I hope you're doing well. Go get them.